Hi, welcome back everybody. Um, what Katie and I want to do today is continue where we left off. You'll remember that our big push last time was to introduce you to the Globe tool, especially the Globe cloud recording app. And we also wanted you to really understand the difference between climate and weather, and for you to take your very own climate observations, to think about the things that have changed in your lifetime and the impact that it's had on you, your family, and your community. And that's what the title of today's workshop is. It's Climate Change in the Community and Science Inquiry. So, thanks for being back, and I don't want to get too far ahead of the game, but does anybody have anything that they want to, talk about, to mention for the good of the order? Did you have any trouble uploading your pictures, Globe apps, anything like that? How did that all go? Okay. So what Katie and I are here to do today is to work with you to expand upon that idea of how we're going to use these observations that we made to push for an understanding of the way science works through the inquiry process. So all of you, when you walk out of the door today, I hope that you understand how, not understand, but that you will be comfortable designing some inquiry for your students, thinking about inquiry projects for your students, and implementing them as soon as you become your own classroom teacher. It's so important for Katie and me to stand up here and work with you so that you have that confidence that you can do this for your students, to really understand how science inquiry can be used in your classroom. Secondarily, we also hope that you get a greater understanding of climate change, and how it's impacting you and your community and communities across the state. So we're in a classroom where we're blessed to have students from all over the state, and being able to share ideas and observations with each other is really important, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that develops. And finally, Katie especially wants to make sure that you walk out of here with a set of tools right at your fingertips so that you can design inquiry projects, so that your students can begin thinking about and looking for patterns among and in the Globe data that's accessible to you. So that's what we have to look forward to today. You'll remember that, I'm sure your education classes have talked about the Understanding by Design framework by Wiggins and Mackay. It's really about that enduring understanding being transferable across the curriculum. So we're not talking about science here. We're talking about an idea that you introduce in a science classroom that can be used in English or in history or in civics, mathematics, okay? That's what we want to do. We want to make this a transferable skill. We want people to be so curious about their environment that they start asking questions of any topic and any subject. And so that's what our enduring understanding is about, okay? So the essential questions are simply the things that really have no right or wrong answer, that don't have a one-word answer, but they open up the classroom for discussion. They let the students dig deeper and think what's that word that I want to look at? In a critical thinking manner. So it's going to allow them to do critical thinking, and that's the kind of questioning that you as a teacher have to start developing. Those why questions, those how questions, those are the kinds of questions that we want to impress upon you, that you take to your students. So specifically today, we're going to be looking at the maps that you all created as a homework set for you. Okay, so what we asked you to do was to imagine a place that's dear to you, that's a place with which you're familiar, that has some changes that have gone on because of environmental conditions in your community in that area. Okay, and so that's what we were looking for. The way that climate change may be influencing the very land upon which you live, the house in which you dwell. That's what we wanted you to look at. And so that's where these maps are coming from. So the essential questions, you saw them on the previous slide, but let me just articulate them here for you, okay? What changes have I observed in my own life that may be related to climate change? What are some, and then you're going to share that with your group, and then the group consensus is going to be, are there any patterns that we see across the state, across our group, that we can think about? Are these patterns based on resources that our community needs? Are these patterns based on water phenomenon, or on temperature phenomenon, or snow phenomenon? The phenomena, those are the things that we're looking for. So start, as you're sitting in your groups and working together, be thinking about those connections across observations from student to student and between students, okay? So NGSS, Next Generation Science Standards, I hope that you're becoming more and more familiar with those. But, and all of the NGSS standards are life science or earth science or physical science. And so you can think, and engineering. And so those are the things that we hope that you are able to think about targeting in this particular class, okay? And finally, we don't just have science standards that we're looking at, we're also looking at some of Alaska's cultural standards. And Alaska is one of the few states that has a set of cultural standards for all educators to look at and to think about and to plan for in lessons. And so we also are identifying some cultural standards that we'd like you to be aware of. One of the key components of NGSS, and actually around anything, is modeling. So a model is a way that students, a way that scientists can use to better understand the earth around them. It's a way to better explain things that are occurring. And if this model can be made to make predictions, then it can test the results of these predictions. And so modeling is an important part of science. And map making is simply modeling on a two-dimensional scale. So it's not that you, in modeling for science, you don't have to make a three-dimensional thing. A map it's a tool that all scientists use. You can see here that in these three different maps of Alaska, they're completely different things that we're looking at, but as we look holistically across the maps, there might be things that you notice about particular ecosystems and the people that inhabit those ecosystems. So maps can be used in that respect to look across and to try to look for patterns that way. We see specifically here in Alaska, a lot of the science that we're looking at and a lot of climate change that is occurring is in the permafrost. So permafrost, of course, is permanently frozen ground, and we have different biomes of permafrost across the state. And so that can determine the kinds of travel that goes on in the community, that can affect the building that goes on in the community, and the kind of vegetation and animal life that is part of that community. So all of that works because scientists have made models, i.e. maps, of the area in which they're interested. So now we're going to go into breakout rooms. And as we go into breakout rooms, I want you to be sitting with 3 or 4 other people in your breakout room. And I want you to first share your posters. So spend a couple minutes explaining your map, walking folks through what is valuable to you and what's dear to you about this map and why it's an important part of your history. And then, after you're done, I want you to have a discussion among the 4 or 5 of you and decide what themes you see in talking with these other folks. Is it a theme about animal life? Is it a theme about weather phenomena that you're looking at? That's what I want you to think about, is a theme across and between the maps that have been presented by you and your colleagues. There's a Jamboard right here, and if you're not familiar with Jamboard, I want you to put a sticky note describing those themes or that theme that you and your group saw. So the way sticky notes work is right here over on the left-hand side. You're just going to click on that, and you're going to create a sticky note and write that in for your group. By the way, first thing you might want to do is decide upon a group name, okay? It doesn't have to be totally serious, but sit down and come up with a group name, okay? So quickly, a group name, put that on your sticky note, and then after you've shared your maps with each other, please write down for me a theme that you have seen or noticed after having talked to your classmates, okay? Thank you very much, and we'll give you about 15 minutes to do this.